Welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast on the Man United versus Arsenal preview this week. Obviously, I've got Sam in the back for this one. How you doing, Sam?
Hi, Ryan. How you doing? Hi, Stel. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, mate.
And obviously, a Man United fan, and also he has appeared on going to be I's channel last season for these previews and reviews. Still, how you doing, Still?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How you doing? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You know, as I said to you when I reached out to you, I just want to get the Man United because it's a preview. I want to get the Man United perspective of what's going on at your side of things, not just be one-sided. Sort of get the impression from your side. And obviously, Mo is due to come. I want to say he's here. I think 1 moment. There he is. Bloody hell. Oh, he's gone again. Mo is about to come on any second now. He was here. He just popped off again. And yeah. Once he's on it, I'll put him on in a sec. So let's get right into the big news of the day on an Arsenal perspective. We've got a captain, not the captain we wanted, not the captain we need, but we've got a captain now. Sam, what were your thoughts on that situation? Apparently, the players voted. The players were given a vote, and then Unai Emery chose to put Xhaka as his captain. I mean, why give players a vote and not go with it? Because it seems that's what's happened.
Well, did you ever watch the film Bird Box? That was on Netflix for a few days, and I don't know if a lot of people saw it. It doesn't know, yeah. If you ever watched that film Bird Box, I'm guessing that's how the captains got selected. You know, you just randomly picked. I guess it was a blind vote. No one knew what they were doing. And I'm guessing Xhaka was all the options, and they just ticked Xhaka. I'm guessing. Or players are having the cereal this morning, or the first name that comes out is probably going to be the captain of Arsenal. And in that box of cereal that they were probably having this morning, Xhaka fell out. So then that's how Xhaka got named captain, I think. Abysmal decision, but what can we do?
If it was up to you, Sam, who would you have picked out of our squad to lead this club as club captain? Your choice.
Rob Holding.
Okay. Hi, Mo. Obviously, I've just put you in. I literally just started on the Jack as being captain. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, but I think we all knew it was coming. To be honest with you, like if we had to put our life savings on it, we would have guessed that Emery's going to be Xhaka. So it's not really a surprise. It's slightly disappointing, but for me now, it's just a case of backing him. You know, I think now that he's officially been named club. Prior to this point, he was obviously leading the team, but it was just kind of before it's been. Now that it has been officially decided, I just hope that, you know, when he is playing, this brings out the best in him, because a lot of my issues with Xhaka have been that he doesn't defend with responsibility. He doesn't play the game in a way that shows leadership, like, you know, making the right decisions and all of that sort of stuff. So I just hope that this actually brings out. I mean, football is not as pronounced as that, but I'm just bring out the best in him. I'm not expecting that to happen, but you know, if he benefits, I put this on Twitter earlier, if he benefits from it, we all benefit, because it's to his game, but unfortunately he lets him down a lot. But if you can just play with a bit more, you should play a bit more diligent, I think we could be onto a winner.
Yeah, still, obviously, as a outsider, what was your thoughts on today's news? Obviously, we just discussed club captains now. Xhaka is out there now. You've got a similar situation at United where you don't know who your captain is. So, do you get where we're coming from?
Well, this is the thing, like, it's the age-old question that comes to United and Arsenal. Where are the leaders? Look at both squads. Where are the leaders in those squads? How many of those can you say, yeah, this one deserves the captain's armband? They've got charisma. They can pull the team out of the mire. They can grab the game by the scruff of the neck. How many of them? I can't think of any. I can't think of any from United. So I don't know, because they're a bunch of pussies. But, you know, in terms of Arsenal, who's got the most caps in the squad in terms of an international player? I can't think. I mean, I wouldn't give it to Socrates because he's the Greek Phil Jones. I wouldn't give it to Rob Holding because he's too young. I wouldn't give it to David Luiz because he's a liability. So who's left? I can't think of that many players. Leno possibly, but it's a very European thing to do, to give it to a goalkeeper. I mean, when you got a captain, I've always wanted a central defender or a central midfielder, someone that can see the whole picture, but that's actually involved in the game. I don't know. It's difficult, but Xhaka, look, he isn't a great player defensively, but what he does on the ball, he does it well, but he doesn't do it that often. That's the problem. I actually like Granit Xhaka. I think he's a decent player. And I think because you've got so many creative players ahead of him, he's not able to express himself as much. You know, in Germany, he did very well in the Bundesliga, but his disciplinary record is kind of bitten him in the arse, so to speak. But at the same time, Arsenal fans, United fans, they're very reactionary, you know, especially on social media. And they don't give players a chance, and they're quick to jump on their backs when they're having a bad game. But I remember Xhaka having a pretty decent World Cup, and a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, "Wow, what's happened to this player? What's happening?" So it didn't surprise me that he got the captain's armband. He's very vocal. He's good with the media, which obviously Arsenal as a football club want. So I personally, I don't see any problem with it, really.
I mean, he's good who he wants to be, but he doesn't help himself. He says things after drawing 2-2 against Watford, for example, and saying 2-0 we were scared. Things like that things like that don't help us at all. Things
But
like
that's what I'm saying about
hold
leaders.
back and keep within your close knit within the club itself. Don't put it out there, because you open yourself up to.
Yeah, of course.
So
But that's what I said about leaders. You'd never see Vieira saying that. You'd never see Tony Adams say that. You'd never see, all these other great players.
Roy Keane would never say that.
Roy Keane smash him in half, and he should do it to the whole fucking squad at the moment. But anyway.
Just get into the game that looking forward to Monday night now. What's the thoughts from the Man United perspective going into this game? Are you optimistic at all, or are you just wanting the game to go by, sort of thing?
You're asking me this?
As a United fan.
Well, when we played you last season at home, the 2-2 draw, I did the preview show with Chig, and I said to him, I'm not confident at all. And it's the same situation this time around. Defensively, we haven't gelled. We haven't got our chosen back four. The mistakes are there. David De Gea isn't the goalkeeper what he used to be for whatever reason. Midfield, we're going to get outpowered, out-muscled, out-thought. And I know we're going to sit back and try to play on the counter, but we don't have the players to do it. Okay, Daniel James is quick. Greenwood is kind of quick, but we're relying on a 17-year-old. So what is there for us? I mean, we can't score goals. Okay, on the plus side, you guys concede goals, but we can't score goals. So, yeah, I'm expecting a hiding, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting a hiding. Look, Aubameyang is on fire at the moment. Guendouzi is running things in the middle of the park. You've got Ceballos, that's a fantastic creative player. And with the fullbacks that you got, if Tierney plays, Christ, Wan-Bissaka is going to have to be on his toes, because Tierney's a very, very good fullback. Very good fullback. The only place I think we can get you is the right back spot. I don't know if Bellerin is going to be fit. I know Maitland-Niles is suspended, isn't he?
Red card in the last league game in Villa, yeah.
So if Daniel James plays, which he probably will, I think that's the only area that we can exploit you guys realistically, and obviously at centre back. But then again, who have we got up front? We haven't got anyone really. So yeah, it's going to be a long night for us. It's going to be a long night.
I'm not sure just that's not fair. With these injuries now in place, Martial, Pogba, Rashford. How long is Rashford out for as well?
I think he'll be back after the international break.
Well, this just calls into question why you let Sanchez and Lukaku go and didn't really replace them with experienced forwards.
There it is. I mean, we prolonged this transfer window, or should I say Woodward. They held out for 5 million for Lukaku, and that was delayed. And then by the time we sold him, there wasn't time to bring anyone else in. And then we're getting fed this nonsense about how they're going to invest in the squad and invest in the youth academy. Well, that's a cop-out, because our youth academy hasn't produced anything for God knows how long. I mean, when was the last time we produced a decent player from our youth academy? And people are going to say Rashford. Well, I'm sorry, but Rashford isn't a striker. Well, he's more like a winger, and he's not good enough as far as I'm concerned. Lingard isn't good enough. We've got Chong coming through. People already getting on his back. How old is he? 20 years old? Give him a chance. We're pinning our hopes in a 17-year-old. So, yeah, it's a cop out. I mean, our transfer activity has been shit, you know, and people have been saying, "Oh, United don't spend that much." Well, I'm sorry, we've spent almost £1 billion since Fergie retired. But the problem that we've had is called throwing shit at a wall and hoping that it sticks. That's been our recruitment process. Ed Woodward is all about boosting his own profile. You know, we bought Di Maria, we bought this one, we bought that one. But what did they do? What have they done? The players that we've signed for realistically cheaper have actually done better than the marquee ones. So, listen, back in 2005 when the Glazers took over, we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to happen when Fergie retired. But at the end of the day, you know, Fergie has got just as much to blame for the Glazers taking over than anyone else, because had he stuck to his word and resigned when the Glazers were interested, do you think the banks would have given him the money to buy the club? Well, we're still 500 million in debt, 511 to be precise. So, yeah, get the smallest violin out, ladies and gents. United fan crying.
That's a rarity in itself. Sam, what are you looking at? How optimistic are you feeling going into this weekend, or say weekend, a Monday night game?
Well, what Twitter's been saying is it's El Sakiko on Monday. So whoever loses out of Emery and Ale is going to get the sack. But honestly, I promoted this campaign last season called Walk with Emery. You know, WWE stands for Walk with Emery, all this and all that. And now I've changed it to AEW. Allocate Emery's weakness, you know. Because what I'm starting to see now is, going into the second season, I'm starting to see why PSG was so adamant on getting rid of him. Like, you might think, you know, that's not the right way to see things, but it's how I'm starting to view our defense. It's the way that I'm starting to view everything. It's like he's got a very pragmatic approach, and that's what kind of got him thrown out of PSG, because the way that PSG work, they don't work in a pragmatic system. We don't work in a pragmatic system. His success at Seville was so good because, like, when you look at Sevilla, there was no expectations there. There was no expectations. It was play European football every season, get us in the Champions League, all this and all that. But yeah, but you're going into this weekend. I'm just thinking it's defense versus defense. Who can be the worst? And yeah, that's it.
Right, Mo, same question to you. How are you feeling going into Monday night's big game? Basically,
no expectation really. I've been to Old Trafford way too many times and seen Arsenal put in a really gutless performance. You know, let's not forget, when it comes to Man United, we put Rashford on the map. We've given Lingard a career. If it wasn't for us, he'd be significantly worse off, because every time he plays against us, we make him look great. The problem is that because of our historic rivalry, United do raise their game against us, and we do all right at home against them, to be fair. But when we go to their ground, I don't know what it is, but we put in gutless performances. And in all honesty, look, Emery, he's kind of just about doing okay by the skin of his teeth. You see some really shocking moments and performances from his team, and shocking lineups and that sort of thing. But then, you know, just recently, 6 days, 3 games, 3 wins. I think we scored 11 goals and conceded 2 or something. And on that basis, you think, all right, well, yeah, now all the pressure's off him again. You never know fully what to expect from Emery, but knowing Arsenal, I don't think we'll go and get a result there. So I'm expecting a draw personally.
Okay, it's completely opposite to Steele then. He's expecting the absolute battering of a lifetime. I've got a question here from Gunnar Michael in the chat. This is open to everyone. Which club's academy is better, United or Arsenal's? Personally, from my perspective, from what I can see, it's got at this moment in time it has to be Arsenal, because the amount of youth players we've got coming through that are stepping up to the mark in the first team and getting first team football and sticking at it on a week-to-week basis. Open to Still first. What are your answers to that?
What academy do we have? Because all I'm hearing is, class of 92. Well, we caught lightning in a bottle. Okay, granted, we've had an academy playing in a team squad for 40 years. You know, every game for the past 4 years, we've had at least one academy graduate. Fine. But again, people fail to remember that when the Glazers took over in 2005, they cut all money into the youth academy. All the money that was going into the youth academy, they cut it. So when Brian McClare eventually left, we didn't replace him. I think it was like 6 or 7 years before Nicky Butt came in,
Mm.
which is ridiculous. So going back to what I said before, who have we produced in the last 10 years to say, wow, this is a great player? Who? I can't think of any. Can you? Honestly, who? Tom Cleverley, Johnny Evans, Danny Welbeck. So who have we brought in? So in terms of an academy, yeah, Arsenal are miles ahead of us at the moment. You can see their players that go out on loan that do ridiculously well. Look at Nketiah at Leeds. Fantastic.
Mm.
And this isn't just me shitting on United, because there are a lot of positives, but the negatives will always outweigh the positives at the moment because things are so bad in the background. And I feel like a broken record, because every time I speak to someone about United, it's like the problems are going to get worse before they get better. And, you know, all this talk from Woodward saying, you know, Ole with it, we've got a long-term plan with him. We're going to invest in the youth. Well, you should have done that 14 years ago, mate, but you didn't.
Mm.
And now we're relying on getting players from abroad. We're signing 16-year-olds from Holland. We're signing 14-year-olds from Spain. Well, what happened to the British players? Well, I'll tell you what's happened to the British players. They've all gone to Man City's academy. They've gone to Liverpool's academy. So our youth academy is struggling. And I know people that have been at the academy since '94 that have said to me, still, like, they've hardly pumped any money in it. Only now that Nicky Butt's coming, they're starting to slowly pump in the money and bringing players that have left City's academy or left all these other academies. But it's shocking. It really is shocking, man. You can spend as much money on a training complex as you want, but if you haven't got the scouts and you haven't got the players, what's the point?
Fair enough. Mo, I'll go to you next. What are your thoughts on who's got a better academy and why? Do you
Well,
agree
I
with
think
Still?
Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I'm not going to criticize United's academy. You know, they've achieved some great things in previous years, and you know they've got a few youngsters coming through or whatever. But I have to say, look, if I could take our young crop or United's young crop, I'd certainly stick with ours, and on that basis, say Arsenal's academy. And the thing is with academies as well, some clubs don't even bother with them because so many players can get poached from academies and stuff. So many clubs don't even bother with them. But the purpose of an academy is that, look, if you're not even, because it's very hard to make the jump from academy to first team. If that doesn't happen, the very minimum you need to do is at least make the academy pay for itself. And with Arsenal's sale of Iwobi, we've done that and more. So at least that justifies the academy being there. And then I look at, you know, a lot of other young players from our academy. We've got Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka, and Nketiah. Even though he came from Chelsea, he still, you know, was spent a lot of time in our academy as well. We've got so many good players coming through. There's just a few names, and to me, I'm excited about that young crop of players. And the other thing I'd say about United and Arsenal, the interesting thing is that Arsenal can't afford to go and pay top dollar for every player that we want in each position when it comes to, you know, buying a player in that position. But United can. So our academy has to be better to remain competitive. Theirs doesn't. They can go and spend 80 million on Maguire, 85 million on Pogba. They can go and spend silly money on all these players. For Arsenal, you know, that's kind of a luxury for us. We can do a 72 million on Pepe and then supplement them with, you know, a few young players from our academy and hope that we get the right mix of ingredients. But United, they can get away with not having a great academy as far as I see it.
Sam, same question to you. What are your thoughts? Who's got a better academy and why?
I gotta be us. It's gotta be us because, like Mo mentioned about Iwobi, how we managed to sell him for 40 million to Everton. That just tells you, you know, academy starting to pay for itself. I feel like what we've done over the past few years, we've kind of changed the way that we do things. We followed an Ajax/Liverpool model where we've tried to buy as smart as possible, but at the same time, we've also integrated the youth within the first team and tried to, if they haven't, you know, if they've, you know, had a massive offer and gained massive interest from someone else, then, you know, we sell them on. Like, for example, look at Ajax's De Ligt, for example, Juventus for 70 million. You look at Frankie de Jong, who moved to Barcelona. You look at those are two players that came through their academy, and I feel like that we're trying to do a similar type of thing. And when you look at our academy, you look at United's academy, for example, I believe it was 2010, 2011, where they won the Youth Cup with the Man United won the Youth Cup, and you had the likes of Pogba there, you had Lingard and players like that there. But now, as times have gone forward, we've kind of invested a lot more into the academy, a bit more. We've put legends like Freddie Ljungberg and Mertesacker in part of it. It's kind of also integrated the youth, help them step up a bit more. We're looking at the games where the youngsters are starting to play better than the senior squad. So I'd say us. Yeah, I'll say us right now.
Do you think also, you mentioned really Per and Freddie, do you think that mainly Freddie Ljungberg being was an invincible part of our modern success at Arsenal in recent years, except like over 15 odd years ago, that sort of experience that he had, he could go straight in there with the respect, and obviously players then thrive off that and what he was, and they were more willing to learn of that sort of player. Hence why we're having again that success, and why then he got promoted to one of the assistants, United's assistants this year. Now we're seeing more of our youth players get given a chance this season. I think it says it all. We can pretty much, most of our starting, you could put a starting 11 together. Most of it would be our youth under 23s. You wouldn't notice it the way he played. Joe Willock, the way he plays this season, you'd think he's a senior member. You wouldn't think he's a babyface fresh off the youth academy.
Freddie Ljungberg could be our Pep Guardiola in the next few years. Yeah, unpopular opinion. If
things work out the way
if things work out for him and we give him a shot, he could potentially be our version of Pep Guardiola. Potentially, I'm not trying to say he will, but it's a possibility. You can't rule that out. You can't rule out anything. So yeah.
Well, again, Michael just pops into chat again. Of course, picking up now, he's come back with probably has to do with the fact that Arsenal snatched some of people who were in charge. It's basically the snatch. He's what he's saying is we snatched people from Wolfsburg who are doing well there, brought on the system, and we're now doing what we're doing with all that. And yeah, because we've done that sort of model, we were on that model, we're sort of thriving off that. Moving swiftly to the side now, obviously we've mentioned, well, Sam's mentioned Del Sacco, of all things to call it. From a Man United perspective, still, what are the thoughts, board aside and Glazer aside, on Ollie himself as a coach?
Difficult one, really. He hasn't been here long enough to pass judgment on him fully. I know his record isn't great at the moment. Was it 4 wins or 5 wins in 20 games? But what are you going to do? Are you going to keep chopping and changing managers? I mean, we've had 2 very successful managers in Mourinho and Van Gaal come in. Okay, Mourinho was probably the most successful out of the 2. He won 2 trophies in his first season, got a 2nd place. But what are we going to do? Are we going to bring in another guy so that he can start again and bring in his own backroom staff? And then what's going to happen? I mean, the way I see it at the moment, according to what Woodward came out with the other day, it looks like they're going to stick to Solskjaer. He's going to be their long-term plan. For me, I still think tactically he needs to improve. He really needs to improve. I'm seeing the players doing the basics wrong. Like, for example, when you're on the ball, get into pockets of space, exploit the space that you have. Players ain't doing it. They seem very static. West Ham was a perfect example. I mean, the first goal, everyone pointed out the amount of room that Mark Noble had, but this is just basic stuff that they should have rectified. Little things like winning the second ball. That we lost out the second ball, 15, 16 times in the second half, I counted. So again, he's still learning as a coach, but I don't know, man. It just seems that the new manager bounce lasted a few months and then that was it. I'm willing to give him a chance, but how long does he have? I mean, as I said before, it's going to get worse before it gets better. If they back him in the transfer market, which, okay, you can argue they have, but also they haven't, If they back him, then fair enough. But the main concern I have from that respect is that a lot of players that we're going to be signing are either, if we're going to sign players from other big clubs, they're going to be cast-offs, aren't they? Do you know what I'm saying? Players that don't want to be there, or the players that the teams don't want. But the players that we're going to be looking at the moment are young British players. That's the remit. So if that's what he wants to do, then fine. I'm happy to give him 2-3 years. I really am. But at the same time, I want to see the owners and the hierarchy stick to their word and say, right, we're going to invest that money in the academy, and we want to see results from the academy. We want to see players come in. If you're going to say to us that we're going to bring in young British talent, fine, do it. But use the 53 scouts that you have. Don't sit there and let Ed Woodward choose who we're going to sign. We've got 53 scouts. You need to tell me not one of them has picked out a half-decent player. I'm sorry. It's just from top to bottom, the club is a mess. And unless Ed Woodward fixes up, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble.
And obviously I was saying off fair, what has Ed Woodward got to do to get sacked? But at the same time, it's that same question. He's doing what the Glazers want.
We brokered the deal for the Glazers to buy the club. He was the middleman. So straight away, he's bulletproof. He brings in the commercial deals, which fine, great. If you want to run a business, fine, because United are a business. But at the end of the day, we want to see results on the pitch, and we don't want to sign players who don't want to be at the club, like your Di Marias, like your Pogbas. And I'll say it, Pogba didn't want to join us. But Mino Raiola did what he had to do, brought him in. There you go. Jose Mourinho didn't want Pogba. He knew the circle was going to go around him. Didn't want him. That's why they fell out. In fact, the reason why they fell out is because Pogba ended up going to America when he had his ankle injury, and Mourinho wanted him in the UK. But obviously, Premier League footballers, contractually, they can go wherever they want when they're injured. They can choose their surgeon, as you saw with Sane. So, hiding to nothing from day dot. We want players that want to play for the shirt. And I don't know, man. Woodward he's a businessman at the end of the day. And look, granted, he's done a fantastic job bringing in the money, but he's not a football man. But if we were to bring in a director of football, he'd still have to report to Woodward. So, I don't know, unless Woodward starts changing his mentality or the remit changes, I don't know. I think we need a season without European football. We need a season with a mid-table finish, just so that they can see how hard the shit has hit the fan. Because already the Glazers are starting to feel it. They sold some shares. They're trying to generate about 400 million. And that's probably for their malls in America and for the Bucks or whatever. But commercial revenue, I mean, it's plateaued, as we've seen. So, yeah, they need to pull their fingers out their asses.
You say that mid-table, obviously, hopefully that opens their eyes. But we saw with David Moyes, literally 9 months into the job. No, not 9 months into the job. Finished 7 and got sacked. So he
didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance.
Straight off the back of the most successful manager ever, as well, and having that tag of being the chosen one. But with Ollie as well, if they're going to do it to someone like Moyes, who was hand chosen apparently, what they're going to do to a club legend of Ollie's stature when he was a player. And if they did go back to that chopping block thing, because it does seem like the thing they do, they're struggling at some point with being you off, bring someone else in. Who else is going to be out there that's going to better and will get you where you need to be?
Well, there it is.
Because people will say Poch as a first name, but he's having the same issues at Tottenham at the moment. He's having a fallout with the owner because the owner's not investing in the right places for him to improve his squad. Plus, do you really want a manager who can't even win anything with arguably the best Tottenham squad we've seen in Premier League era?
Again, it's a difficult one to answer because, again, based on the previous managers that we had, we had Mourinho, we had Van Gaal, they've won everything there is to win. So why could we not perform with them? It's the players. It's the personnel. It's not. Personally, I don't think it's the manager. The manager ain't the one going on the pitch.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the owners, the way they're just truly happy with sacking managers and not getting rid of the actual players. It's like they're content with the players to do what they want.
Yeah, well,
as long as they bring the money in.
Well, see, this is the thing. As I said before, I think they've decided that Ole is going to be the one that they're going to stick with for the long term. Again, that's just based on what Woodward says. I wouldn't putting that as gospel, but if that's what he's saying, that's what he's telling the shareholders, that's what he's telling the fans, and Ole is the one that they're going to stick with for whatever reason. Perhaps because Ole's basically saying great things, like, you know, before he said that he was happy with the squad and he's happy with the players that he's got at the start of the season, and he's happy with this and he's happy with that. Well, okay, if you're happy with that, Ole, then these guys need to be happy to be at the club and they need to be playing for you. Are they playing for him? Some are, some aren't, and they. But it's going to be it's not a short-term fix, as you guys are seeing at the moment with Emery. You know, he's coming, he's got his own ideas. Do you guys think that a lot of the players that he's brought in are actually his signings? I'm not too sure. But
there's one or two I've doubts on. It's how they're not being played or how they're being treated off the pitch.
But there you go.
But, you know, where I come across.
At the end of the day, he's got his style of play, and he wants to implement that. But it just seems that he's not able to do so because the players that he wants are either unfit or injured, or he can't bring in. So I think this the same goes for Ole. You know, but we just got to grin and bear it. You know, United fans, we've been spoiled. We've been spoilt for years, you know, and I've seen the bad times. I've seen the Neil Webbs. I've seen the Mal Donegues. I've seen the Jim Leightons. Christ, I've seen some really turgid football, you know, and it comes in a cycle, and you just got to take it on the chin and say, we are at this level now where we've got to accept mediocrity for the time being until something is done about it. It might take us 10 years to get back to the top again. You never know, but just be happy with what you've seen. Just be happy with it. You know, I'm not one of these YouTubers and all these social media guys from United stand kicking off about this and that because this and that player isn't performing and they're calling them all different names. Listen, you're spoiled. You're spoiled. You've been lucky to see all these things in the past, whether it's because you're going through puberty and whatever, but you're spoiled. So just take it on the chin and just face it that United ain't the best team in the country anymore. That's just how it is. Deal with it. Be a supporter. Back the club. But don't get all bent out of shape when the team ain't performing well, because you're the one spending your money week in, week out to go there. So what do you want me to say?
I think what makes them even more come across more spoiled as well is that literally Liverpool now risen from the ashes in the last couple of years, and now they seem to be back to where they once were, well before I was even born.
Well, they're a fantastic team, right? They're a fantastic team.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And they wouldn't, from what I've been told, because I was born in '89, so I was born just at the end of their peak, and there was they were the team to beat, sort of thing. It seems that now, 30 years later, they're now clicking again. And then you've got your next door neighbours spending money like going out of fashion, buying league titles left, right, and centre.
But why is that then? If you look at their structure, they've got owners that care about the club's performances on the pitch, and they're backing the manager. And they've invested wisely in players. They haven't signed players just because they can sell a few T-shirts or it's what Adidas want them to do. No, you know, who would have spent £35 million on Salah at the time when he was at Fiorentina? Who would have spent 30 million on money? I remember we were linked with Mane and Van Gaal, and people were laughing. Well, who's laughing now? So the signings that Liverpool have made have been shrewd. Wijnaldum has been a fantastic signing. Robertson. The list goes on. They've spent wisely. Whereas us, who have we brought in that you could say has been a top signing in the last 4 or 5 years? Who?
You literally can't.
Ibrahimovic came in on a free, and I think he did well. So I can't knock him. Mkhitaryan, that fucking kebab boy, no, dog shit. Glad we fucked him off. Alexis Sanchez, what happened? Did he take his piano with him to Italy? I don't know. So our recruitment has been appalling. But at the same time, if we're going to be signing players that want to play for the club, great. I want players that are committed to the club. I don't want anyone just to come in and say, yeah, I'll take a selfie of myself on the pitch or whatever. Or players that are committed to the club. And that's what Liverpool have. That's what City have. Players that are committed to the club. And that's what you guys slowly have. You've got Aubameyang loves the club. Lacazette loves the club. Pepe loves the club. What's the problem?
This is sorry, just going back into January, he was still in caretaker charge. From what the words he was saying, it's like that's what he wanted as well. Solskjaer wanted. He wanted players that wanted to play for the badge because of him being an ex-player, knows what it means to play for the badge. Sam's gone. Mo, what are your thoughts on the Arsenal's perspective of things, this side of it, with the Cronkies and now Raul, Edu, and Vinay?
Well, you've been in the same situation as us. Sorry, Mo.
I'm definitely happy that it's changed. The whole structure. I think early signing would be in Emery's, and I don't think there's. I don't think he's necessarily calling the shots in terms of who we sign. That's someone else's job, and I have to admit I do like this more modernised structure. I always think the manager should have a say in the players. He should be able to say, no, I definitely don't want this player. He should have veto power. But I do like the fact that he can focus just on the coaching, be more of a head coach than managing the club. So I do like the new structure. As for the Crankies, I'm not a fan of them. But the thing is, now that they have got sole ownership of the club, which I'm horrified about. I'm not happy about that at all. But no matter how bad something is, there's some good that can come out of it. And I think the good that has come out of it is that if they were ever going to invest fully in the club, or at least continue to reinvest the club's funds and sign off that reinvestment, it's now where they'll reap all of the benefits. Because if Arsenal are successful, they'll get all the plaudits. If the success then leads to Arsenal being a more valuable club, well, that's an unrealised gain for them, not split between them and Alisher Usmanov. So maybe it will result in more commitment from them. And I have to say, in this first transfer window, since that has happened and they've got full ownership, well, we have seen more investment, and we have seen them being a bit more interested, or certainly Josh Kroenke being a bit more interested in the running of the club. On the other hand, though, I hate the fact that they've got all that power, that they can literally, if they want to, change the name of the club, change the colours and our history and our traditions. I hate the fact that Josh has got such a prominent role in the club purely because he's someone's son. That, to me, stinks of nepotism, and it's not something I'm keen on. But, I just hope that it does provide us with a benefit, because they're now fully committed and they get full benefit from any improvements in the club.
Sam, what about you? What are your thoughts on the Cronkies and the whole Edu, Vinay, and Raul setup? Do you think because we've been in a situation where Still's been in a sense of with either Ed Woodward and Ivan Gazidis, it seemed to be very similar type of people, I would say. Anyway, Sam, yeah, go on.
Well, now we use a proper recruitment system. Back then, 2016, the window where Liverpool signed Wijnaldum, where they did or even signed Mane, we went and we bought Xhaka. That DNA proved that Xhaka was better than N'Golo Kante. Stat DNA. A proven title winner. We could have bought a proven title winner for 30 million. But no, we bought this guy instead, Xhaka, who we thought would be the next Xabi Alonso. I'd put it out there. Someone thought he'd be the next Xabi Alonso. He's not even good enough to be Marcus Alonso. Never mind Xabi. He's not good enough to be Marcus Alonso.
Probably drives better than him though.
You can, yeah. I shouldn't even laugh at that. That's not even funny, bro. But like Jack is just like, even if he's captain, I'm Borussia Mönchengladbach. But when you're in the physicality of the Premier League, right? People, once they get the chance, they will. The Premier League is a lot. The Bundesliga, right, is like it's less power used, less strength used, less all that used. You've got to get in there. Like in the Premier League, you got to get in there. You got to be strong. You got to be powerful. Like you have to be commanding, towering. If you look at someone like Vieira, who right now I absolutely love her, who I use as an inspiration to the day, who's a role model to me while I was a lot younger. I wanted to be like him, but of course I'm 5 foot and he was like 6 something, so there was no way I'd be like him. But he was someone that inspired me, and he was someone that was commanding. He was tall. He was like he would tell you what to do. If for example Wenger would say, do this, he'd say no, I don't want you guys doing this. I'm going to lead this. We'll play something else instead. We do something else instead, and that would work. You have Emery, right, who's just leading the team, but you also want someone on the pitch to be like, you know what, if this doesn't work, let's just do this instead. Forget what the manager says. We'll just do what we want to do. we'll like focus on do something else that's better. What tends to happen is everyone is just like a sheep at the club. What they'll do, they'll follow what Emery says, do what he says, do what he wants, and just follow it one by one. And when we're not getting results, we're looking at, like I said, an overly pragmatic approach time and time again. But when we look at also transfer dealings, you look at United's transfer dealings, you look at ours. We look at there's differences, but there's also a lot of similarities in the sense that we have both bought bang average players over the past few seasons. We haven't invested properly. I still don't know why, and you might think it's a bit bad for you to say this, but I still don't know why we bought David Luiz for £8 million. I don't think that was something good. I don't, as much as I'd say this, as much as you probably laugh at me for saying this, I would have rather us spend more money on Lewis Dunk from Brighton than David Luiz, because with when you buy Chelsea players, you buy you don't know how they're gonna act. Like look at Czech, for example, in that final, the Europa League final. That was a disgraceful performance from him, right? David Luiz probably do something like that in a big thing, like in a big final like that. You don't know that. When you look at a lot of the signings and you think to yourself, why? What on earth? Like we look at Socrates, we bought last summer, right? 16 million. Leicester bought Soyuncu, 9 million. Who was the better signing?
Exactly.
Who was the better signing?
Just because you also mentioned David Luiz, I just think it's a short-term plug. It does seem like by the contract he was given as well, but obviously for who they want, they probably wanted someone. There's other players above them they wanted, but they couldn't get them because of whatever reason. Either they spent too much and they couldn't afford to get it now, but they knew they needed to plug that hole, even for short-term, ASAP. So David Luiz, he knew he'd worked under Unai as well, so Unai knew what he's working with, and he brought him in. So. It is what it is, but we've got to remember we've also got this young, potentially up and coming centre back coming into us next summer, and Josh has doubled down since the window's closed and actually said we are going to be even more proactive in the winter as well. So we need to see what happens there. But it is just going to touch back onto the Vieira. We have both clubs don't really have players now on both sides that have. You have your leaders. As we've said, we don't have the other clubs have real leaders, where the other players would run through the fucking wall for them, basically. Leave everything on the pitch, especially in the Manchester. Look back to Highbury 2005, the whole kick-off in the tunnel between Vieira and Roy Keane. It all stemmed from Vieira going Neville and saying, "You're not going to kick us off this effing pitch today," and this, that, and the other. It all stemmed back to you stopping us going into 50 games unbeaten, things like that. And it sort of hyped both teams up to the point where Roy Keane's like, we're gonna sort this on the pitch, and players would run through walls for the likes of Vieira, for the likes of Keane. It doesn't seem we don't have it. It does the fact of anyone like that anymore. I don't know, Mo. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me or?
I think it was a different era, wasn't it? That was a special time in our club where we had that sort of type of player in Patrick Vieira and the vibe that ran through the team, that arrogance, that absolute desire to win and just kill teams off. We were ruthless. But the thing is that Arsenal have existed for over 130 years. It's not common to have that. We always talk about that time because it was so exceptional. So it's unfair on future teams to compare them to such an exceptional team. There are certain players that I think would just run through walls for this club or any club. I think they're just geared that way. People like Lacazette, people like Torreira, I think they really, really do play the game in the right way. Tierney seems like he's in that mould as well. But, they're like exceptional, as I was saying before. So, look, I don't know. I just we need to stop comparing to that invincible team because they were too special to use as a benchmark. If we can just improve the culture in the team a little bit and get players working a little bit harder, players like Luiz and Xhaka playing in the right way rather than taking shortcuts or potentially being a little bit lazy. Like Xhaka, the yellow card he picked up against Villa was because he got goal side. Instead of running back and sprinting, he decided to pull a shirt. David Luiz has given away 2 penalties this season, one of them for putting a shirt in the box. There's little things like that. But when you're not willing to run through a wall for your team, you take the easy way out at times. So, look, they're not like the Invincibles, but no team was like the Invincibles. They were special.
I get what you're saying, and yeah, I was just saying that literally you'd have your captain, your leader, and obviously and around him other leaders, and the players would run, and then your not so much leaders, the inexperienced, the youth that are given a chance would feed off them and run through walls for that player, no matter what. And it's the same situation that Man United was as well. You don't really have them players anymore that you'd run through the wall. That's a couple we've touched on already. Going into Monday's game, I don't know how I'm gonna put this. What do we expect from that game, considering we've got a manager on the Man United side of it, where one bad result, anything could happen when it comes to the board. And then on our side, we've got a very reactionary fan base. Mo, yeah. I know you said you're expecting a draw, because obviously it's been like, what the last one we won there, 2006 in the league itself. Not going to count cups and this, that, and the other. 2006, and every time we've gone there, we've
realise
been
that.
battered. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Yeah, it must have been, because
Boyle scored the winner. Was that the one?
Yeah, and then since then essentially we've gone there and either been battered off the pitch 8-2, or 4-0s, or 3-1s, and this, that, and the other. And then even last year, and 15-16 season, we went there when Man United were at their knees and actually had pretty much most of the experienced set players out injured, and we were going there challenging Leicester for the title apparently, and actually got battered off the pitch by pretty much Man United youth. We made Rashford, gave Rashford the name. We've then gone on and give Lingard a name as well in recent times. It's and then
I think you're dwelling on the past too much. You're dwelling on the past too much, man. You're dwelling on it too much.
What I'm saying, from an Arsenal perspective going into Monday, we've got to hope that Emery gets us not only the tactics but the lineup spot on. Because if he gets it spot on and tactics spot on, then still you're right. We will on the high absolutely run through your team, because at the moment there seems to be no confidence there. We've got an £85 million defender, but worth more than Van Dijk apparently. He's not playing like it. Obviously you're expecting the battering, but is there any key players that we need to look out for going into that game that could cause us any trouble at all?
I think Daniel James will be a key player for us, which is remarkable to say, given that he's only been at the club 5 minutes. You know, I think this will be a game where Arsenal will have more of the ball. They'll have more chances. As I said, the only way we'll get something out of it is that if we defend deep, close you guys down in the middle of the park, just make sure Guendouzi doesn't have too much of the ball, because his passing is exceptional, his work rate is brilliant. And if we prevent you from getting down on the flanks, because I said before, your fullbacks will be key in this one. And as I said, Tierney's fantastic. Whoever comes in on the right side, if it's Bellerin, we need to be on our toes. So it wouldn't surprise me if he goes with Rojo at left back, Daniel James on the left, Wan-Bissaka at right back, and Ashley Young at right wing, so we can prevent those overlaps. Because if we can stop you from getting in behind us wide, then we'll be all right. Because a lot of your threat your main threat comes from the flanks. So Daniel James will be one. I'm really looking for big performances from McTominay, from Fred. I don't have any faith in Pereira. I think he's balsa wood. How is he even Brazilian? I don't know. He's just another Cleberson, really.
Is that what's Chelsea player they brought? Italian Brazilian name, Jorginho. Jorginho, yeah. How's he?
Yeah, exactly. He's a decent player though, but I just think it's going to be a cagey game. We will try and make it as difficult from a physical perspective as possible. I know it's going to happen. We're going to try and stifle the midfield. It could be an ugly game, to be honest. It wouldn't surprise me. I still think we're going to get tonked because we've got mistakes in us. I mean, I know you guys do, but as I said, we don't have enough going forward to give you that to pose that threat.
Now, because injuries dealt with, sort of done that for you because of
Martial. Exactly. Martial, Rashford. You know, if Lingard starts, I mean, I'm hoping that he has a good game. But last season, I mean, the 2 goals we scored against you, the first one was slightly offside, but you guys fell asleep. And the second one, when Lingard scored straight after you guys scored, was ridiculous. It was just a comedy. But I still think defensively you'll be much better on Monday than you've been all season. You know, so again, I'm hoping this isn't going to be a riot, honestly. But I'll be happy with a draw. It sounds so pathetic, doesn't it? It sounds so needy. It really does.
From both sides, for either side, for any sort of fan from both sides to say that, it's sort of that fall from grace because years ago, I keep going back to it, but it was literally do or die. We have to win this match.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, it's now got to the point where you're in a situation where you're happy to take the draw. Can't get out that 90 minutes of a point. We've mentioned Kieran Tierney tonight, but Mo, I believe you was at the game on Tuesday as well with me. What was your thoughts on Kieran his first hour and just over an hour of minutes for the club after coming back from a double hernia operation, this, that, and the other? For me, he looked really like he'd been there for years. Going forward, he looked solid. The crosses, 9 times out of 10, was actually really good, considering what we've been having to deal for the last few years. And getting back as well, he looked solid. He wasn't, and again, going forward, just touching the going forward bit, he's not like we've had left backs where they get so far, cut back and pass. He's not afraid to run at the defence and cause a problem and get that ball in. I mean, what was your thoughts on Kieran from Tuesday?
I thought he was brilliant. He exceeded my expectations. But the thing is that Arsenal we've often seen players that are great going forward. What I really liked about him, what I found quite refreshing that we lack in our team, is that he sprints back. He has an urgency when he's out of position to get back in position. And I really have got a lot of time for defenders who do that. Even if you are playing that wing-back role, your job is to defend first. There's no point kind of like getting forward and putting a few decent balls in the box if you also allow the other team to do the same. You need to work really hard in that position. It really takes a lot of energy and work rate. And that was my favourite thing about him. He looks a player.
Yeah, and as you said, it was so refreshing for someone to look solid. And as you said, to track him back, he sprinted. This is a guy, literally his first proper first-team match at a new club, back from a double hernia. You would have thought that looking at him, the way he was going back and forward and not he played it.
Exactly.
I think the fact that he was taken off, maybe he's leaning towards maybe starting him on Monday. Would you be open to that, or would you be a bit too early to that sort of game?
Look, from my point of view, if the players are match fit, I would love to see Tierney, Chambers, Holding, and Bellerin. I would love to see that. But if the manager doesn't pick those 4, I'm going to assume that they're not match fit, and that would make a lot of sense because Bellerin, Holding, and Tierney, this is the first game for all 3 of them in absolutely ages. So I'd love to see it, but only the manager knows, and only the medical team knows if they're really ready for that.
Yeah. Obviously, Lacazette stood out. Who would you put in that? Assuming he sticks with the formation he has been in the last few games, who do you put up front alongside Uber and Pepe on the other side of the attack? Would you go for youth, or you go for a bit more experience?
You could go for Saka. Additionally, honestly, if he put Martinelli in that lineup, I'd be excited by that. I would have no complaints if he did that. He scored 2 brilliant goals. He's got pace to burn, and I think that would be a really difficult trio for Man United to deal with. So either you could do that, or you could go adventurous and even try and play Ceballos in the middle of the park with Ozil ahead of him, for example. You could try and do something like that. I don't know what Emery's thinking, but for me, I would actually go with Martinelli. That would excite me. I think Saka, I just kind of feel like, I don't want to load him with expectation. And he's done well so far. I don't think we should be chucking him in and then subbing him off if things don't go well and that sort of thing. But Martinelli, given the way he played the other night, how hard he worked as well, we're going to need to work really hard if we get a result at United. So I'd love to see Martinelli as a third.
Yes, just touching on Martinelli, I haven't been this excited for someone who is so young being brought into the club for God knows how long. And as you said on Tuesday, 2 absolute sublime finishes you'd expect from a fully fledged, experienced player. The header itself, absolute bullet header, and his second goal was, well, yeah. Again, as I said, you don't expect that from someone so young with inexperience. Before we wrap up, we'll get some score predictions. What are your score predictions for Monday night? You said it'd be a draw, but what sort of draw? Dull 0-0 or?
I think the teams won't keep clean sheets, so I think 1-1 or 2-2.
Okay, and still, what are your score predictions?
I think Mo's being extra nice, maybe because he feels sorry for me. I don't know. Christ, I'm hoping for a draw. I think Arsenal win 3-1.
Wow.
At least you'll score. You keep that like. Oh dear. And just before we wrap up,
what about you? What's your prediction?
If again, Emery gets a line-up spot on and the tactics spot on, 3-0 to Arsenal, obviously. I think.
Wow.
But it's all down to the if he gets that line-up spot on it, as you said. I think Tierney might start considering he got subbed off the other night. I think that's maybe why he's got him in mind for that now, because of how well he performed in the minutes he played. I'm not sure about Bellerin. I wouldn't be opposed to it, obviously, but if he wouldn't, I wouldn't complain as long as he doesn't put. Is Maitland-Niles, is he suspended still for this game? Is it up for?
I'm not sure whether he served it in the League Cup or this, but in any case,
either way,
even if he is fit,
I'd
Chambers
rather
has got to start.
I'd rather Chambers.
He's played
we brought
so
him as a
well.
right back. We brought him as a right back. He's got experience there, and he against Villa, and then the other night, he did look absolutely sublime. And then when Tierney went off, he played at left back as well. So he has earned it. And even in the Newcastle game, he absolutely looks solid. He's come back with a point to prove to Emery. I forgot giving him a chance last year. Holding, I want Holding to play, just because we might actually look a bit more secure at the back, other than having David Luiz or Socrates playing together. Midfield, I don't want Jack, but obviously he's captain, so he's gonna play in that game. But that means the other two in that midfield have got to be, the balance has got to be spot on. Otherwise, everything's going to go over the place. I'll be slightly leaning towards Ceballos, Guendouzi, because you can't drop Guendouzi at the moment either, because he's playing well at the moment.
Yeah, he has to start.
And then obviously up front, they've got Pepe, just scored a guys who can't. So obviously he might be in a bit of a high now, might come out of himself a bit more. Aubameyang scoring for fun at the moment, 16 goals in 16 games. Yes, is absolutely it. We haven't had that for years, and I'm making the most. I can't believe people wanted to send him in the first place back in the summer. Martinelli or Nelson on the other side, but he has to get it spot on. Otherwise, it'll be just one of them games where we'll do something stupid and drop points, and when we don't need to, where we play really well, like we did last year. Went ahead once, made a mistake, let them back in. Went ahead again. In seconds, we let them back in because we're literally ball watching defending. And still celebrating a goal from like 60 seconds ago. I've had a question from Gunnar Michael before we wrap up. He wants us to do a combined 11. Are you okay? You guys are okay with that? Or?
Yeah, sure.
We'll start with goalkeepers. Wellesley, De Gea or Leno. Who do you have? We'll start with Still. We'll have a little debate and then we'll choose.
I'll go with Leno. I think De Gea's form has been shambolic recently. He seems to be a goalkeeper that hasn't moved with the times. If you look at Ederson, you look at the fella at Liverpool. You know, it's almost as
Alisson, yeah.
it's almost as the sweepers. You know,
Hmm.
you look at a goalkeeper who's been at United for what, 7 years, 8 years, if not if that.
2012.
Yeah, something like that. And his starting position is shambolic. He's got no command of his area. He's a good shot stopper, but he gets beaten at his near post. I don't know. He's regressed, man. He's regressed. But then again, I've never been his biggest fan. I've always been critical of any United goalkeeper that comes in after Schmeichel. That's just me. Schmeichel was just up there. He was the bar. And anyone else that's come in hasn't been at that level. Even Van der Sar. So, yeah.
Mo, do you agree with him or?
Yeah, on current form, Leno.
Okay, and what we've got for right backs, we've got Chambers, Bellerin on our side. What right backs have you got on your side?
Wan-Bissaka.
Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, and Bissaka, of course. Yeah, sorry. Out of them three, who do you have at right back then? Mo, let's start with you.
I'll say Wan-Bissaka. You know, he's proved himself last season, and you know, I always pick a defender on their defending ability. Maybe Bellerin's better going forward, but I'd have to say Wan-Bissaka.
Okay, and still, do you agree or disagree?
Oh yeah, I agree. I think, and the thing is, to add to that, I think he's come to the club, big transfer fee, very young, and the weight of the shirt hasn't got to him. And it's almost as if he's been there for a few years. So yeah, I think he's settled well, and he's had a good start to the season. To be fair, I think he's made the most tackles out of all defenders as well, which is fullbacks anyway. So no, yeah, I think he's done well. Yeah,
You're doing that a lot of that on Monday with Pepe coming at him.
exactly. Yeah.
Right, the interesting part, the fun part now. Centre back pairing. We've got Chambers again. Chambers can play centre back. So we've got Chambers, Luis, Socrates, Holding, Maguire, and what other centre backs? What other centre backs that are fit? Lindelof.
Yeah. That's it. Bailly's injured. Jones is injured. Smalling is in Rome.
Okay, we'll go for the right centre back first. Who's the other right centre back? We'll start with Still. Out of them choices,
just to balance it out, put Maguire in. Just to balance
just for the sake of it.
More players in midfield than up front, so balance it.
And what about yourself, Mo? Do you agree, or do you have someone else in right centre back?
Yeah, no, I'd put Maguire in. Maguire he's a consistent lump, and I'd pair him alongside Holding.
Okay, you covered the left centre back. Still, what about you for left centre back?
Yeah, go with Holding. I think he did remarkably well last season. You know, before he picked up that injury, and he's got a lot of potential. I like him. I like him as a defender. I said big potential. Very good in the air, quick as well. Yeah, put him in.
Okay, left back, Kieran Tierney, who's just come back from injury. Kolasinac, Ash Young, and Luke Shaw for you guys.
Well, we've got Rojo as well. Don't forget.
Rojo is okay.
Well, and Luke Shaw's injured, or he's back on the babe station again, or Pizza Hut, or whatever. Yeah, so I think Tierney's the best left back out of the two teams, and that's even when Luke Shaw fit.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay.
Tierney as well.
Yeah, okay. Midfield, we're going to do three-man midfield. So, defensive CDM, Xhaka, he's technically not CDM, Torreira. And who plays CDM for you guys? Because I don't know your formation, I don't watch it week.
Matic, McTominay, Fred. this is what I'm talking about. Back in the day, you'd say Scholes, Bart, Keane, Veron. Now it's like this. Really?
No, okay. Out of the choices, Mo, who do you have at the CDM position?
I'd go Torreira CDM. I feel like he's really the only proper specialist. I guess Matic you could say is as well, but I think Matic is past it. So I'll say Torreira.
I think I'll agree with Torreira just because he's younger, and as you said, he's got that engine. He'll run through a brick wall, and he'll literally track back and cover that back line, no matter what. He'll put himself on the line no matter what. Whereas Matic is again a CDM, but as you said, he's past it. He's coming to the end of his career. He's not really got He's got the legs anymore either.
He's not mobile enough, Brian. He's not mobile enough, and he only uses one foot as well. How can you have a ball-winning midfielder that can only use one foot?
So do you agree that Tavares is a CDM? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a proper central midfielder. Proper central midfielder, tenacious. As you said, gets his head in the way, scores goals as well. Good player.
And which two do you have in front of him? There's a choice. Got Ceballos, Xhaka again, Guendouzi, even Joe Willock for us. And then you've got your guys, Herrera, Pogba when he does probably fit.
No, Herrera's gone, mate.
Not Herrera, Pereira.
Oh, sorry. Pereira. Oh, I said Herrera. Christ. I'd probably go Guendouzi and Pogba, and the other two. I think it'd be a good balance, to be fair.
Okay. Mo, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's tough. If you're putting Ceballos in that mix rather than separating him as like a player that plays in number 10, for example, I don't know whether I'd go Ceballos or Pogba or Guendouzi or Pogba. But for me, I would leave Ceballos for later on in the team lineup, and I'd go Guendouzi, Pogba, yeah.
Okay, and now the number 10 role, basically. Ceballos, Ozil. Who plays number 10 for you guys?
The guy famous for crying when a bus got smashed and moonwalking. That's the only thing he's good at. Oh, and shagging pillows in a hotel. Him.
Okay.
He's shit. Let's be honest. He's shit. Let's be honest. Okay. He does the basics all right. He's got a good work rate, but that's it. It's a given. Lingard offers nothing, so take him out. Get rid of him.
Yeah.
Ceballos for sure for me goes in that spot. Lingard is the oldest teenager walking the planet, and Ceballos has got to go in ahead of him.
That's in it. Right. I didn't catch that last bit, sorry. What was it?
Right, yeah, Ceballos. We both agreed Ceballos over Lingard for sure.
Oh, of course. It's choice of Lingard, aren't we? And then the front three of we've got us.
Well, that's we've done 4 in defence and 3 in midfield, so that's 7. So yeah, but then we've done more. Sorry, we've done 4 in midfield, haven't we? Because we did Torreira, Pogba, Guendouzi, and Ceballos.
So 2 forwards, 2 up top now. Who do you guys want? Pepe, Aubameyang? Or again,
Aubameyang's a given.
Aubameyang's in there all day long because he's gone for fun.
Yeah. Well, we don't have anyone, do we? Apart from Greenwood, he's the only fit striker that we have. So yeah, I wouldn't put him in an all-time, the current 11 for mixing both teams. It's not fair on the kid, Yeah. So you have to go with Aubameyang and Pepe, I guess. I mean, Daniel James has had a good start to this season. I think he's been fantastic, but he's not a centre forward. So if we're going with striker for striker, then yeah.
And do you agree though?
And if Lacazette was fit, I'd say Aubameyang and Lacazette. Like if everyone was fit, I'd say Aubameyang and Lacazette. That includes if Rashford was fit and everything like that. But yeah, I think it has to be Aubameyang and Pepe. Even though Pepe hasn't really set the world alight, I think Daniel James did a really good start, and he's actually a player that I am a bit nervous about on Monday. But I still think Pepe is the classier, better player.
Yeah, that's it then. Okay, let's go full hog and do manager. Which manager would you want in charge, Emery or Ollie? We'll start with Steele.
None of them.
Full hog.
None of them. No, I get Emery. Listen, I've rated Emery for a long time. He did a fantastic job at Sevilla. I think going to Paris Saint-Germain, that club's like a poison chalice, and they've got massive financial investment from the Qataris, and you can see they've got a project there. And whoever comes in, they're under pressure to deliver not only Ligue 1 but also the Champions League. I think he was unfairly treated there. There were some signings that were made that obviously weren't his. I think he's done very well at Arsenal given the circumstances. He inherited a lot of bad players, and it's a slow process. He got you guys to a European final, for crying out loud. People don't talk about this. I'm like, do you know how difficult it is to get to a Europa League final? I mean, this is you're talking about a competition that starts at the end of June, for fuck's sake, and he got you guys to a final. All right, you lost, but you got to a final, which is more than what a lot of other teams have done in the last 10, 15 years. I think he's a good coach. I really do.
Especially for his first season as well, with what he inherited. He could only make, 5 signings and 1 loanee in January because of a certain Gazidis screwing him over. And yeah, I think that's wrapped up now. Thanks, guys, for coming on. I appreciate your time.
No worries.
And yeah, we'll see you all guys. Obviously, see you all guys on Monday. I'm doing a watch along for Monday as well with Colin, so that'll be interesting because he's got family at Sport Man United, so that could get messy.
Enjoy it, mate. Cheers for having me on.
Yeah,
thanks. I appreciate your time, both of you.
Awesome.
And obviously, thanks for Sam, but he lost his connection, so yeah. And yeah, everyone else, thanks for watching. The people that have watched and Michael and all that have put messages in the chat and this and the other. If you're new, subscribe, like, and share. Help the channel go a bit quicker. And yeah, see you again, you guys, on Monday evening, about 10 minutes before kickoff.